Hey, SMR510 510 owners, Otard Yoda here. Gonna show you real quick what turned out to be the problem regarding my clutch slave leak issue. I did the post on Husqvarna Supermoto group and got a lot of recommendations. As you can see, I've got 2 crush washers here. I was using one, I was getting a little leakage, couldn't figure out what was going on. Went to a second crush washer, still not ending. The problem just kept coming up. It was not leaking rapidly, it would be a slow leak, and I would just see fluid accumulate there. So when I would go out, it would be dry. And then when I would come back, if I looked, I would see a slight amount of fluid accumulating right at that crush washer. One of the group members suggested heating up the crush washers, and I think that's a great idea, something I'm going to do moving forward. Make them soft for the install, this way you get a better seal. I've been sanding them, that's always worked for me in the past, I thought, but in this case I just kept getting fluid. I had upgraded the Clutch Slave, the OEM, to the Oberon, so that was a fresh install. And I had also, at the same time, replaced the OEM master cylinder, went to the Brembo Racing one, and currently, if you run your fingers over here, down the line, it's all dry. There's nothing. If you look over here, you can see the line here, all dry. So I got no issues up there. You can see some fluid on top, but I was in the process of capping this off, and because I had been losing fluid, I had found, obviously, filling as much as I could gave me the longest ride time. I never had any clutch issues. If I ever began to notice the leak, or I should say loss of clutch, something not working, I would just add a little fluid and I'd be fine. So that's been the way it's been for the last, I don't know, 3,000 miles. And I finally just said, this is ridiculous, I gotta figure out what's going on. So anyway, last night I was in the process of refilling, and as I went to bleed the Banjo, I saw a drip come down here, right up here. I saw something drip, and I thought to myself, well, that's crazy. So then I looked up here, and if you follow this wad of cables, I'm not going to be able to show you up there, but basically there's a couple of wire harnesses and the clutch line, all of which go up there. Now if you notice, this clutch line is dry, there's nothing here. I had already looked at the clutch line. The only place that I was finding anything was on the metal collar that I could really feel was coming or was related to what I was finding on the crush washer. I had already looked up here, but again, another member, or a bud actually, out in California, Tim Avitasoft, he said, check your line, it's got to be something to do with your line. So anyway, I saw this thing drip. Obviously I had already checked this line, it was dry, but I got up here, and right around here I've got a cable tie, and it's kind of like what you see here. So the cable tie happens to be the basically the stopping, or the stopper I should say, of the fluid, which is seemingly leaking someplace underneath the tank. So from this point over to here, there's got to be a pinhole, and that drip I saw was the fluid. And I'm not sure if the camera is going to be able to pick this up, but on top of the tensioner right there is a puddle of DOT4 fluid from my master cylinder. Now I don't know what the odds are of it dropping straight from the cable tie onto that, but it's happening. And I had seen DOT fluid down here, I always assumed it was just coming off of the crush washer, but it's not, because upon closer observation I can see that it's been going down in here, coming off of the top of the tensioner as well. But when I go forward, when I drive and take this bike out, the fluid moves back over here and it gets on the cable line, and from there, the hydraulic line, from there it goes down, mostly on the back side. I'm not really sure, but obviously it gets to the collar, goes down, wraps around onto the crush washers, and that's why I've been able to see, I see it there. I've never seen anything up top. Now you see a little fluid up by the bleeder port, but that's because I was doing that last night. I haven't really cleaned it up. I basically just stopped doing anything on this until I get the new line. So the point of this video is real simple. Just because you see fluid at any location, it does not mean that that's the source of the fluid. You need to keep an open mind. I definitely missed the boat on this. I spent way too much time putzing around with the Banjo and the crush washers, and if I had thought it out, maybe I could have figured this or seen a clue here sooner than I did. I completely missed it, and even now I see that much there, and I'm almost shocked. I just can't believe that much has come out, because you know, when I refill the master, I guess I'm getting about 500 to 1,000 miles. I went back and looked. I thought I was getting more when I added the 2 crush washers. In other words, I thought I could go longer without losing so much, but it's not true. I went back and checked, and it looks like every time I add, there's about 500 to 1,000 miles. So apparently the leak is pretty consistent, and that's because it's got a pinhole. Why it has a pinhole, I have no idea. I've taken this tank off so many times. I'm sure something must have pierced it at some point, whether it's on the frame, whether it got crimped by a tool or a bolt. I have no idea, but we'll see when we get it off. For now, I got a cable coming, and I'm probably not going to ride her till it gets in, but there it is. Once again, you own a 450 or 510 SMR Husqvarna from this time period, anything 2010 or younger, I'm sorry, older, it's going to be a challenge sometimes with the different little issues that you can get. And in this case, that little leak, well, wasn't really leaking there. Wasn't really leaking there. And technically it's not leaking there either. It's probably someplace up here, midway, who knows. But learn from my experience. If you've got anything going on with your clutch slave, specifically a leak, consider all options. Keep an open mind on this. It'll maybe save you some time. So, safe driving as always. See you out there on one wheel.
Because you're the wheelie guy.
That's right. That's exactly right.